Guys, I can't believe I did it. I can't believe I finally did it. I finally finished my drip irrigation. I am so happy. It took exactly 1 week to finish all of my drip irrigation in my backyard garden. My entire system is from Rainbird. I think this is an easy way for any gardener to get set up. The system is entirely purchased from Home Depot, and it's something that most of the garden centers that I've been to carry. You want to make sure that you start with a system that you know you can continue to, so that all the pieces connect together nicely and that they're easily accessible anywhere that's local to you. So when I was building my 2025 goals for my garden, irrigation setup was very high on the list. And that's because of my experiences in the past few years in the garden. Now, I have a small backyard garden, but you wouldn't believe it. It takes me over an hour to water this entire garden. And I've added 3 additional raised beds this year, which is going to take even longer. Part of the reason I decided to add drip irrigation is because in the heat of the summer, I don't have time to spend hours in my garden watering from morning to evening. And drip irrigation will allow me to free up some time to be able to do other things in the garden, like check for pests or weed, something we all don't want to do, harvest more flowers, just overall spend more time in my garden doing maintenance activities or just enjoying the garden itself. Like, who wants to spend their entire summer watering their garden day and evening? It really takes up a lot of time and enjoyment out of the garden. Still in my testing phase this week, testing the duration in which I run my water and also the time of the day that I'm running my water. I did a post on Instagram and asked the community what do they do, how long they run, when they run, and I got a lot of great tips. Basically, on average, people said I should run it between 15 to 20 minutes, and it's one time a day. However, when the temperatures get to over 30 degrees, that's when people are running it 2 times a day in the morning and the evening. And that's what I'm testing this week is 15 to 20 minutes of running once a day. Now, this week's a little bit weird because I do have rain scattered throughout the week and I do have a lot of cold days. So I'm not running it as often as I would like. So the timer hasn't been set up yet. I'm just coming out in the morning, running it, checking for any leaks, checking for water pressure, making sure everything is looking good. And then today I'm actually going to cover it all up with mulch because I feel confident enough that my system is secured. And then after that, I'll continue to test throughout the week. But I am going to walk you through my entire setup, how I'm distributing water to all my plants, what kind of emitters I'm using for all of my different containers and why, and also some tips and tricks that you should know that will avoid the pitfalls and mistakes that I did. If you're new here, I'd love for you to subscribe. And if you're returning, thank you for watching and supporting this channel. And don't forget to drop a comment down below if you are planning to do drip irrigation tubing this year.
The first thing that I picked up from Home Depot was this manifold by Vigoro for $40, and this will connect directly to my faucet. I wanted to continue to use the hose reel in my backyard, and this allows me to do that while also making available 2 additional ports for future use. Next, we have the Rainbird electric hose timer for $74. This one only allows for one garden zone. There is another one for $129 that allows for up to 6 zones and can be controlled by an app. If you have the money, I would honestly invest in that one. In my garden, I'm watering in raised beds, in-ground gardens, and containers, and it's all running on one zone. Having multiple zones would have allowed me to tailor my watering needs better. The third item I picked up was this Rainbird landscape and watering kit for $99. I think this is a good starter kit, especially if you don't have a big garden and you're nervous like I was about drip irrigation. I found this kit easy to work with and it had a lot of basic items you need. The kit includes a 1/2 inch tube which allows you to distribute water throughout your garden. It includes an installment tool to poke holes, stakes to pin down the tubing, a 1/4 inch distribution tubing to get the water directly to your plants. It has connectors, it has drip emitters, and it also has the 3 key pieces that you need to connect to your hose. I was a bit disappointed that the kit did not include any emitter tubing, so I picked up this 1/2 inch 100-foot emitter tubing for $42, and then I picked up a 1/4 inch 50-foot emitter tubing for $19. Oh, and I also picked up some extra 1/4 inch distribution tubing. It's 100 feet for $19.
Okay, I just took off the pieces and dropped the distribution tubing right here. So my goal is, this is where my faucet is. I have the Gardena hose reel on there right now. So my goal is to connect the manifold to that, then run the distribution tubing across to this first garden bed, and then run it all the way down along the side of the fence, all the way down to the end. And then once I get to the end, I'm gonna run it along this side against the brick stones all the way to the end, and then run it back up to where my deck is. Now from there, I'm going to plug in, and for example, this garden bed, I'll use the 1/2 inch drip tubing around the entire garden, connecting into the distribution tubing. And for this garden bed, the same thing. I'm gonna just connect into the distribution tubing. And for this, I'm gonna have to find a way to get it up and over so I can run it through this bed. And then for these garden beds here, because I'm running it along here, I'm going to cut across at some point, probably here, cut the distribution here, and then run it through the garden, and then find a way to bring it up to each bed and run it through each bed. I do not have enough distribution tubing, so I'm going to start with this, and then if I need more, I'm going to run to the hardware store. And that's my setup for now. I haven't figured out how I'm going to run it in the beds. I'm still kind of working through that thought process, but I do want to just get it set up and run it to see if I have enough and if I need more black tubing. I think I am going to need more, but I don't want to buy it until I kind of figure it out and see how it looks in the garden. Before I did anything, I turned the water off, and I love this because this is a quick connect system. Okay, then I'm going to take this off. Tap is off. Okay. I'm going to put this one to the side because I just bought it this year. Okay. This is the one I bought from Home Depot. I'm just going to put this on. Okay, I put the manifold on, and I put this piece back on because this is my hose. So I'm going to put the timer on this side. So I have the rainbird timer. I have it on off right now, but I did set the clock. So it's 5:18 p.m. I'm just going to click OK. It's Tuesday. So it's set, so I'm just going to put it on off. I don't have it programmed yet, but that's okay. So I'm going to put this next. And it looks like it has a little filter in there. Or this could be a pressure regulator, I'm not sure. Okay, these
3 parts come in the kit, and it goes in this order. So first you have the backflow preventer, then you have the pressure regulator, and then the adapter, and this is what the 1/2-inch tubing connects to. So I'm going to connect all these 3 pieces. I'm just going to move the camera this way. Okay. So backflow preventer. Pressure regulator. I may add a filter later on, but for now I'm just going to try this. And then this is the adapter. I think what I'm going to do before I put it on is put the tubing on here. Okay. Counterclockwise, that's right. Was this the right way to? No, the hose adapter is counterclockwise. Okay, so these are the pieces: the manifold, the timer, the backflow preventer, the pressure regulator, and the hose adapter, and then I just added the hose. And I'm gonna tuck it back that way and then run it along, and then along the back. Status update: I ran from there to there across. I created an elbow, and I did an elbow down there, and then I ran it along the back of this bed, destroying some of the leaves of my garlic plant. And then I have it right here, and I want to add another elbow. Just see if I can put it here. Yeah, I want to add another elbow, bring it down, bring it across, and then run it this way, and then do a T here, and then run it continuing that way, and then run it down here so I can get it into these beds. But I'm out of elbows. The kit didn't come with enough elbows, so I need to run to get more elbows. And for my distribution tubing, I don't know. I think I may have enough, but I'm gonna get some more. See, the kit doesn't come with enough elbows. Like, I have these T connectors and these straight line ones, but I don't have any more elbows. And I think I need more of these things as well. I have a few outside, but I think I need some more. So back to the hardware store. I'm back, and I picked up some additional elbows, and I also picked up some of these staples because I think they're really good quality. So I picked up some more, and I'm gonna go outside and work on the bed. I was thinking maybe I can actually, after going through all that trouble to get elbows, I was thinking maybe I can use this to stick into the side of the bed, and then, yeah, it still wouldn't work. I need, I don't have a piece that does what I'm looking for. Anyways, I'll stick with the elbows, and I'll try to finish using the distribution tape. The distribution tubing. I needed more distribution tubing in the end, so I did this corner pinned, brought it all the way across. Under this massive hosta, we have another corner, and then I brought it all the way across. And then I did this here. Oops. And this I'll do another cable distribution tube that runs underneath, and then split it between both beds.
And then this is where I ran out. And then I'll run another piece that goes up here and split to go to both this bed and this bed. And then I'll run something up here, and then I'll run it down here. No, I think I'll run the 2 beds and then I'll continue behind and get to the other beds. Yeah, I think that's what I'll do. I think so. And when I do this one underneath, maybe what I'll do is I'll run it all the way across and up. Still TBD, but a lot of progress for the first day. I'm tired. Take 2 tomorrow. Welcome back. We're on the 2nd day of irrigation setup, and it's been a week in between these days because it's been raining for the past week and I couldn't do anything in the garden. But today we're gonna try and finish the irrigation. I'm almost done with the 1/2-inch distribution tubing, which is going to bring the water to all of the locations. And then after I finish with the what I call infrastructure of that distribution tubing, I'm going to work on hooking up water directly to all the plants, but I'm still working on infrastructure today. So hopefully I can get it done this morning, and then in the afternoon work on connecting all of the plants to water and then testing it hopefully at the end of the day. I do want to run to Home Depot to get the filter. I didn't get the filter because I didn't think I needed it, and the instructions didn't really say I needed it, but looking at a lot of YouTube videos online, it looks like I kind of do need it. So I'm gonna pop out later to grab that. I have a cup of hot water because I'm really having difficulty with this distribution tubing. I picked up some more distribution tubing from Home Depot last week, and it's been such a pain to maneuver with. So I heard that hot water, or not hot water, warm water, dipping it in warm water will help open up the tubing a bit, and that will allow me to hook it on to the ends better. So I'm gonna grab some of the supplies I need, and then we're gonna head outside. Okay, so I'm gonna bring some of these. I'm gonna bring the rest of these with me. And I did pick up some more elbows. Yeah, but I don't think I have enough elbows, so I think I'm also gonna run out of elbows too. So you saw I ran the distribution tubing all around the garden, and I made it here, and I put in a splitter that's gonna run the tubing from here all the way to my bed. And then I continued it here, ran it here, then split it to come up to this bed to feed the container. And then I've run it all the way over here, and then I'm going to bring it up to this bed and over to this container. And then now though, I'm going to work on this one. I have a splitter here, and I'm going to run that splitter all the way to the end, and I'm going to branch off for these 2 containers. Yeah. And then I think I'm going to connect tubing from here over to that container. So yeah. just realized my error in planning. What I want is to have a T here that goes up to the beds and then does a connection here that will run across that I can pipe into. But I didn't do that here because I was making things overcomplicated and I didn't need to be. Like I did a connection here thinking I was gonna send it to this bed. And I did a connection here thinking I was gonna do another distribution tubing up. I don't need that. I just need a tubing, another splitter here that runs up, a splitter here that runs up, and then it connects at the cross. So it's like a grid formation. That's what I really needed, and I was overcomplicating it. So I'm going to fix this corner and make sure that I move this connector over here and then have it going up, and then fix this connector and have it going up this way. It's not going to take a long time. I think I just have to move a few things around. So I'm going to do that. Okay, all of my infrastructure is done.
One of the biggest challenges I faced with doing my infrastructure was trying to get the distribution tubing up and into my raised beds because they were already built and they were filled with soil. So what I did is I ran the distribution tubing on the outside of my raised beds. It's not pretty, but it works.
Okay, so this is what I did. What I ended up doing is creating a little elbow path, and it's going between the bricks, and then I have it running. I had it running before over the garden bed and having the T's run across the bricks, but I thought that made no sense. So I have a little path here and it's running all the way and then connects up, and I ran it around my stepping stone. And then here, I think I need another little stepper for this. And I have it running up and again around my bricks like that. And then here, I also have it running up. So, and then all the way up here, it corners and then runs across. So I think this is good for this space. Okay, now that my infrastructure is done and I've had some lunch, we're gonna head back outside and now add drip to the plants themselves. Now I'm gonna work along the side, and I'm going to use this 1/4 inch tubing. I'm going to use this one, like they have these little pieces, these emitters. This is 2 gallons per hour, and this is 1 gallon per hour. Now 1 gallon, 1 US gallon is about almost 4 liters, translated into liters for my Canadian friends out there. So 4 liters is a lot per hour, I think. So I'm just going to use the black one. So I just stuck the end into here, and then I'm going to puncture it into my, this is an example of a 1/2 inch. I'm going to puncture it into the 1/2 inch and then connect this tubing and then connect it here and then run the drip. Now, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to follow the instructions. Now, because I'm going less than 5 feet, I'm using this method. So the emitter tubing goes into my 1/2 inch distribution tube, and then I'm going to run it like this. If I was going longer than 5 feet, then I would use this method. So I'm doing this method right now, just for the side, and then I'm going to see how it works. And I'm going to try this again. I made the hole, but it didn't go in. This is really annoying. There we go. Okay, so I got it in right here. And then I'm going to connect this tubing. Oh my gosh. connected it. Yep. Okay, I think I've connected it. And then I'm gonna use this tool. Probably like right here. So I have the 1 gallon emitter to the base, and then I have the stake, and then I have the emitter, and it's not right up on the plant, it's on the outside, and you really don't want the water to go up here. You want it to go away from the plant because the roots are over here. All right, looks good. I'm gonna do this. I'm proud of what I did. I don't know if it's gonna work yet, but look, they're all there. And I ran this one up for the raspberries. I have to head to the store to figure out this one, but look, all there. So I decided to do a test. I'm halfway done, and I have the water running for 10 minutes just so I can see where I have issues. It looks like this section is okay. So there's drip there, there's drip there. I think there's drip here. Yep. And the roses are getting drip. The only issue is the water's not traveling up here. I haven't done this bed yet. This is working, this is working. These are all working. This is an open spot which will lead to the bed. And then these are not working right now. This is not working. I have an open section here. That's not working. And the bubblers are not working. So I think traveling up is a difficulty. I can hear the water. For some reason it's not making it. I don't know if it's because of that part. I don't know. I gotta figure it out.
I finally fixed the issue and focused on installing the emitters. For my beds that are 3 feet tall, I ran a 1/4-inch distribution tube into the bed and installed bubblers to distribute water to the various sections of the bed. It provides a 360-degree coverage, and I have the flexibility to install more if I feel like something is not getting enough water. For the rest of my raised beds, I'm running a 1/2-inch distribution tubing across the bed and then connecting a 1/4-inch emitter tubing with holes that are about 12 inches apart, which releases about 1 gallon of water per hour. After doing some testing, I found that running 3 drip lines provided the best result and even coverage in my 2x4 and 2x5 raised beds. For my back in-ground garden, I used a 1/2-inch emitter tubing that has holes every 18 inches and releases about 0.9 gallons per hour. I used one long 100-foot strand throughout my entire garden bed, and that was good enough. For everything else, I use these spot watering emitters that release about 1 gallon per hour. I've added them directly to the shrubs in my side garden and also in all of my containers. I'm happy to say about 98% of my garden is on drip. When you're done with everything, the kit comes with these enclosures that allow you to stop the flow of water. Now that everything is done, it's time to hide all of the tubing with some mulch. Knowing that I can easily access everything will make fixing issues a breeze in the future.
Now that my mulch is done, I'm going to go through 5 tips to save you money and make the drip irrigation process easier. Number 1, I mentioned this earlier in the video, and that's warm up your drip tubing first. Now, I've watched a lot of YouTube videos that recommended that you just leave your drip tubing out in the sun and it will naturally warm up. And I did this and it didn't really work for me. And what I found worked best was getting a cup of really warm water, dipping the ends of the half-inch drip irrigation tubing into the water for a few seconds, and then adding your connections. Trust me, your arms will thank you later. I am still experiencing pain from trying to force the connectors into cold drip tubing, and it just doesn't work. So save yourself the stress and the headache and just warm up that drip tube with some warm water. Number two, not all connectors are created equal. One of the biggest issues I had with connecting my entire system was connecting the 1/4 inch distribution tubing to the 1/2 inch distribution tubing. And that's where I had a lot of leaking and underperformance. Having the right connector for those 2 points is critical to the success of your system. Number three, and I mentioned this one earlier in the video, get a timer with multiple zones. If you have a garden where you're watering in different scenarios, like I was in raised beds, in ground gardens, containers, then having a multi zone system is really beneficial because having multiple zones allows you to tailor the water to different parts of your garden. Now, I am running on one zone, and I do think in the future I am going to switch that out for a multi zone connector just because I am noticing that some areas are getting overwatered than others. And I've tried to make adjustments using different connectors to help reduce the impact. But I highly, highly recommend you spend the extra money and get a multi-zone system. You can buy different brands of timers from Amazon, and that will probably allow you to save a little bit of money. I was a bit nervous in doing that and really wanted to keep my system exclusively to the Rainbird brand. Number four, experiment with different emitters. Now, in my garden, I mentioned that I have different emitters that I'm using for different scenarios, whether it's a dripper, a micro bubbler, emitter tubing. Try to use different options to see what works best for your garden and for your plants. Using different emitters will allow you to save water in the long run and also improve the health of your plants because you're not overwatering or underwatering. And finally, number five, start small and scale smart. Don't do what I did. I went all in and wanted to get this system done in 1 week and do my entire garden. And again, I'm glad that 98% of my garden is currently on drip. It's on a timer. I don't even have to worry about it every day. However, it was very costly in the long run. And you can see throughout the video all the different components that I've added over time. Honestly, if I had to do this all over again, I would start zone by zone. And if you're on a budget, starting with a single zone is beneficial. You don't have to get a timer like I did right away. The timer was an expensive piece, and that was just because I wanted the system to be somewhat hands off and run on its own every morning without me having to go and turn on a faucet. With the Rainbird system, I found that it was easy to expand different components over time. Even at the end of the week, I continued to expand and refine my system. If I had to do this all over again, I would start with one zone, become really familiar with the components, the parts, the layout of my garden, how the water's flowing, what I need before I invest money in the other components. So don't do what I did. Start small and scale smart. In the end, you might want to know the total cost of the system. At the beginning of the video, I walked through the cost of some of the initial components, but I did end up getting some distribution tubing, which cost $20. And then I ended up doing multiple rounds to the hardware store to pick up some additional emitters, stakes, couplers, tees, and all of those things cost about an extra $100. So in total, the entire system that I purchased was approximately $400 for my entire backyard garden. Now, again, you don't have to spend that much, but I did want to be transparent in terms of how much I spent in total on this system. I hope you enjoyed this video. This was really more my experience of how I built out my irrigation system. I had no knowledge whatsoever. So this video is not an education tool in terms of teaching you how to run drip. I'm showing you my experience of running drip in my garden, some of the challenges I faced, the frustrations I had. And I hope that you got something out of this video. Maybe you're encouraged now to try drip irrigation in your garden yourself. Maybe you're familiar with the parts that I picked up and you want to try using the same rainbird system. I highly recommend using the $99 rainbird garden and landscape kit. I thought that was a great kit and it's great for beginners. If you have a very small garden or you want to start small in the zone, I think that's a perfect kit just to get someone started on drip irrigation. Thank you again for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and click the notification bell to see more of my videos. Take care and see you next time. Bye.